we use called lay minister or lay leader, and it is somebody within the church who is not staff, but they are volunteering to lead a ministry of a certain level. We're going to try to debunk that myth tonight that that there should be tiers within the life of the church. And so we'll talk about it from a book that I read a while ago called The Jesus Way by Eugene Peterson. Danica's got a lot to bring tonight, and Bart, of course, will be the counterpoint. Right, Bart?
I will do my best, Adam. And we are live.
Oh, yep.
So there we are.
There we are, right there.
We're just not up there, so I prematurely kicked us off the first time. That was my fault.
Let's offer prayer to everybody that's watching live and anybody that will watch a little bit later. We want to offer prayer for you for COVID fatigue. Danica, are you experiencing COVID fatigue right now?
Yes, every day. I am not good with the whole mask thing, so it's very frustrating for me. Just not looking forward to Christmas season with all the shopping that you have to do and still wear a mask, and it's hot and sweaty and it's gross.
You had even brought up another term called Zoom fatigue, which I think is also pretty good.
I was listening to one of the Christian radio stations, and they were talking about the new Hallmark movie that they can see coming out. It's,
no.
COVID for Christmas.
Oh my goodness.
You know, and the main leads, they accidentally meet on a Zoom meeting that they both went onto the wrong meeting, and they met in this Zoom meeting. So they were anxious to see this for next year.
Wait a minute, this is a for real thing.
No, it's not a for real thing.
It sounds like Sleepless in Seattle.
COVID for Christmas.
COVID for Christmas.
It's gonna happen
because everybody hates Hallmark and everybody loves Hallmark. I personally do like the Hallmark movies. They're so cheesy. I just love to have fun with them.
Yeah, right.
I do. Ask my wife.
Does Jenny like to watch them with
she
you
does
or
not
without
like them.
you?
She does not like to watch them as much as I do.
Okay.
I just enjoy them.
Danae Huddleston put a comment in the comment section here on this live video that apparently I have better color tonight. I didn't look very good the other night when I did a live video from my house. Even my mom commented. Was like, you don't have any color in your cheeks or something?
You're pretty pasty.
Was I really?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I felt fine. I feel fine now.
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
It must be the pink in your shirt.
You know what? That must be it. Yep, that must be it.
Well, those LED lights are kind of harsh.
Yeah.
These have a little of the extra color in them.
Yeah, they do.
And then you have me.
I look better when you're here?
I make you look better when I'm here. I'm so white. Makes everybody look darker.
All right, we really need to get to this tonight. We are going to talk about something called the Laity Myth. We're going to try to smooth that out tonight and get to a place where we can recognize that anybody who is called to serve in a ministry can be empowered to serve that ministry without getting put into some sort of level. How long have both of you been in the life of the church?
Go for it, Bart.
49 years.
Okay.
11 months. 51 weeks and 4 days, 3 days, something like that. My mom had me on Wednesday, and I was in church on Sunday.
See, I even knew that story. I was going to say, I think you were born on Wednesday.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. Me, not so much. Like 10 years.
Yeah.
I've always known Jesus, but I haven't really been in the life of the church that long.
Okay. All right. And I'm going on maybe like 21 years.
Amateurs.
Yeah. Being in the church. I mean, I lightly attended all through junior high and high school. But so, yeah. Okay. So, but we've always grown. We've always understood within the life of the church that there is paid staff, and then there are volunteer leaders. And then there are a whole bunch of other little categories underneath that. There are fringe attenders. There are regular attenders. There are, people who are not going to volunteer for anything. There are all these different types but when it comes to pastoral staff, that's like the top of the top of the top. They are the most spiritual. They are the ones that get paid to do this. So heaven forbid that I would happen to step up and do something in the life of the church when we have a paid staff member that can do it. And by the way, that's what they get paid for. This is what we're trying to debunk tonight. Debunk is that
Debunk.
if you are called,
Can you bunk something?
can you bunk something?
If you
Beds.
can debunk it, can you bunk it?
Beds.
So what does debunk mean then, I guess?
Disprove.
Take apart.
Yep.
So.
So in this article that Eugene Peterson wrote, he brings this whole thing up, and it's really, really awesome. He says for so many years of his life as a pastor, which by the way was 50 years as a pastor, he would say that the phrase "I'm just a layperson" was spoken in a self-deprecating inflection, where they would also be followed up with "I've never been to seminary" or these kind of things. It's a phrase that they use, say "I'm just a layperson," and it puts them at a different level underneath that. Underneath the person who may have been called to full-time ministry. What are your initial thoughts about this whole idea of somebody saying, well, I'm just a lay leader, I'm just a lay person? Let's begin to debunk this here, to take this apart, to disassemble this.
Well, I think it comes from how we've raised people, how we've established the organisms that we're living within. So if we establish church and you walk into a church and you know who the leader is, then all of a sudden you have structure and you have levels. And that's then where the lay leadership comes in, because it's part of those levels that we've created.
I mean, some of it I think would come from just your general non-Christian, business idea. And I'm wondering too, some is that answer that's given, what is it in relation to what question? Because, I mean, I can see it's like, well, are you, where have you taken the church? Well, I'm just a layperson. What are your ideas for the future of the church? So I'm kind of a layperson. When was the last time you preached in front of the church? Well, I'm just a layperson. Thank goodness for that. But so I'm wondering too, is that are there certain things that's a answer to a certain type of question?
It's kind of like they're giving up ownership of what they should be doing. Like, oh, I'm just a layperson, I can't do that.
Like washing their hands of any responsibility of.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that is part of it. Where in the Bible do we find this language of full-time pastor, lay leader? Where is that anywhere in the Bible?
Well, I would say yes.
Okay.
There are, some people are given certain gifts. So the gifts to preach. Well, just go early church when the widows weren't being fed.
Oh, okay.
And they said, no, wait a minute here. We're going to appoint 12 people we're going to appoint a group of men to make sure they're fed because we're going to focus on preaching. Right. So I think even there you start to see a level. We're gifted with this.
Sure.
So but see, I think you could take that and say, well, I'm better than you, and so you're going to do this instead of my gift is preaching. So why would I hinder that by spending time? Not that helping widows isn't, but there are people who are better organizers, better people at that. That's their gift to do, is make sure these people are fed. I'm a preacher.
So is that part of us as Americans reading the Bible, reading it the wrong way? Are we interpreting what it's saying into levels that we have in our country?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, where Bart is referring to is Acts chapter 6, where, the widows were not getting enough attention. And so they got together and said, okay, we got to go back to the drawing board here because the church is exploding. The church was growing at such a rapid pace. Acts 2, Acts 3, Acts 4, Acts 5. There's spots in all of those chapters leading up to Acts 6 where they show growth. So they had to put in some sort of a structure. But here's the question beneath the question about that. Those that made that decision as to what they were going to focus on and then delegated the responsibility to the 12, which one of those positions was most important? Which one was more important than the other? And we could honestly say neither.
Right.
They both had importance, right?
Yep.
Right?
Yes.
Bart?
And I'm just saying, and are we reading now into it that they felt like there was a difference. You don't see that in there. You just
No.
said, "Hey, we've got a group of men." I think was it 12? I want to say 12, but I don't think that's
I think it
right.
was 12, yeah.
12. We've got a group of men who are respected in the church, so they are lay leaders,
Right.
and we respect them. We, as the traveling pastors in this area, know that these men are so respected and trusted that we could put them in charge, and we don't have to worry about what's going on. So,
Yeah.
I say that we're looking back at it now and saying, well, there was a level, and they probably didn't. I mean, you just don't see that language in there that says, well, I'm a pastor, so I don't have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe some of it has come from pastors who go, I'm a pastor and I don't have to do that.
Yeah. You have to include me in everything.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I'm the pastor and my wife is the wedding coordinator. And she will be the person who's in charge of that. And some of that then grows. All right, so Church of Nazarene, 70% of our churches are 100 or less?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So these are statistics that I remember. So the majority of the churches in the Church of Nazarene are small churches.
Okay.
So pastor comes in, pastor's wife's got needs something to do, and what's the better thing to do? Then he's going to do the wedding, then she's going to be the wedding coordinator, so it's a kind of hand-to-hand thing, and it just sort of grows, and it becomes ingrained, and, after 2 or 3 generations. Well, the pastor's wife always was a wedding coordinator.
Yeah, that becomes commonplace. I see Dave Dawson put a comment
Yes.
up there. Can you? I can't read it from here.
It says, Dave says, I sometimes felt that way because of inferior knowledge of faith. Like I love Jesus, but I don't know enough about what Jesus said. I didn't want to be responsible for misleading people, trying to rectify the knowledge part. So understanding your...
Mm-hmm. I get that.
Yeah.
That's so me. Even after taking a couple of years of classes, I'm still that way. I'm like, ooh, I hope I said that right. Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
let me double check it with 3 sources so that I know I can claim this. And that's where we get into, if we're not living it and breathing it, we don't feel experts in it. So if you're in the church and you come on Sundays and you're part of the church, but you don't live that outside of Sunday, you're never going to feel like an expert in it to the point where you feel like you can lead somebody.
Yeah. This week, and I hope it's okay that I share this, there was somebody who had a very sick family member. And with everything going on in our world these days, we cannot get into hospitals, which is very, very unusual. I have this card that I carry around in my wallet called my clergy card, and it doesn't matter what time of day it is. It doesn't matter what the condition of the person is. When I go to the hospital and I show that clergy card, they immediately let you in. You can go at 2 a.m. and they will let you in. I mean, it's kind of one of the perks of the job. You get to go be at the bedside with people when they are in their most desperate moments, whenever you want. We cannot do that now. And so somebody reached out to me and said, what do I pray at the bedside of my loved one? And I was able to text them suggestions, and they said, thank you very much. And guess what they did? They prayed with their loved one at the bedside. They prayed with them right there. Now, here's a question. Is that prayer any less effective because it came from him? Or would you say it would have been more effective because it came from me?
Are you asking me?
Yes, I am. I am asking.
Are you asking our people who are watching?
Let's ask them too.
Well,
Does the prayer have to come from a pastor?
No.
When
No.
they are on their
absolutely
bedside.
not.
Okay, it doesn't.
Absolutely
It
not.
doesn't. And they're probably out there thinking, Adam, what are you doing? You're talking yourself out of a job here. Well, maybe so.
Well, I'm pretty sure nobody's going to step up and preach.
But
You're safe there.
But we have to understand that when we are called into a relationship with Jesus Christ, your example is just as important as my example.
Yeah.
Your example is just as important as Danica's and as Bart's. Just as important.
I think.
And
Go ahead. Sorry.
no, go ahead.
I say. Well, one thing is understanding the difference between managing a. I'll take Caterpillar for example. So we have a CEO who's directing, and I'm a welder. Is he more important? Well, he certainly gets paid a lot more than I do, and I'm not going to harsh on that. If I could do that, I'd happy with his pay too, but he can't. I'm like, well, he's not welding, so leading a herd of cats like pastors often have to do, and versus having a faith walk with the people that are around you. Adam isn't necessarily any more spiritual or faithful than the layperson is, and that layperson is on a faith walk with those that are around them. So they are just as important at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And then once a week we try to herd the cats together,
Right.
and we get wisdom. Not that we can't find our own wisdom in the Bible, but we do have we believe in prophets. The Bible is full of prophets, so we believe in people who are called to herd those cats. And we're those cats. Yeah. But it doesn't mean that he's any more of a cat than I am.
Correct.
There are two comments that we should get to.
Right.
Looks like Jen Baum put one in there. Let's read that, and then Gene Hector's right underneath.
Jen Baum says, I remember when a young clergy in 2017 in February prayed with me just before I had the double mastectomy, and I cried while he held my hand. It was such a comfort. And Gene says it doesn't have to come from you. It's more comforting from some people, somebody close. So
Okay.
Somebody more personable.
Sure. Yeah, and I understand that. It would be better to come from the pastor. I totally get that. Totally understand. And happy to do that. Happy to serve in that way. I think what we're trying to get to, the underlying thesis of this podcast tonight is that you don't have to call in the professional when the task is to pray. You can do this.
One of the interesting, my father-in-law was in the hospital. Thank goodness he passed before the whole COVID thing because it would have been horrible.
Yeah.
But we were at St. Mary's Hospital, and I saw somebody that I went to high school with, I think it was, and he was coming in. It was 11 o'clock at night, and it's like, what are you doing? Their church has people signed up every hour of the day. Somebody comes in to the chapel and they pray for the hospital through their church.
Man,
and so
that's
there
phenomenal.
is
That's awesome.
somebody, some regular person that comes into the hospital to pray for the. Now, again, with COVID, I don't know if they're probably allowed to do that, but they were doing that. The regular people were praying for the people in the hospital.
Yeah.
Well,
and I've had doctors pray, like at the appointment.
Mhm.
So, and that's almost even more comforting to me because then I know that they're a Christian and they're walking this with me rather than having the professional in there. I mean, even though he's the professional doctor, it's like his faith is going to guide him through this. So,
Yeah. Absolutely. The more comments coming up. I wish I could read them from here. Tim Brackett. It looks like Tim Brackett put a comment up there. What does his say?
Tim Brackett says, when prayer comes from the heart, it doesn't matter if you're like me trying to remember what someone else has prayed.
Okay.
Dave Dawson says it doesn't matter who prays, but I've been studying prayer to be more effective at it.
good.
If you want to bring your phone out, you could just
Woohoo.
log in and look.
I didn't bring it with me.
Oh, because it's up on my phone too. And Judy Ward said that Bruce Jones says the Holy Spirit can move through other Christians as he does a pastor. And matter of fact, we know that the Holy Spirit can move through a donkey.
That's true.
Yes, he can.
That is very true. That is very true. There's a couple more things that we want to bring up tonight as we move this podcast along, but I think we're all in general agreement that if you are walking with Christ and you have had the power of the Holy Spirit cleanse you from the inside out, that you are now qualified to pray. You are now qualified to be an example and a leader for Christ. One of the things that I have struggled with my entire ministry, and I still struggle with it, and I'll go ahead and confess that. I may not have a job after this podcast, but I'm going to go ahead and confess that anyway. I've always had trouble separating my identity as a Christ follower from what I do. Always. If I was not a pastor, I would still know who I am. I'm a child of the living God. But they're molded together so much, and sometimes my identity gets lost in what I do. I'm wondering if anybody else, runs into that as well.
My identity is not wrapped up in welding.
Okay.
I can guarantee you that.
Well, Danica, what about you? I mean, you're deep into school right now, studying toward ordination in the Church of the Nazarene. You're very active in ministry.
Yes. My identity changes all the time because it depends on who I'm talking to. I change into mom when I'm with my kids. I change into wife when I'm with Ken. I change into pastor when I'm with some people. I change into just like cousin and niece when I'm with my family. So it's, yeah, I don't feel it yet. I don't feel like I have to be a pastor 24/7. And I really pray I don't ever feel that way because I think I'm a Christian first and foremost. And if I have to be perfect, I don't think I can be a Christian.
I mean, is that really, in reality, that's the thread that runs through everything, right?
Right.
Is being a Christ follower. Now, whether your gifts take you, this way or that way, but the thread should always be.
Yeah.
So I'm a
And
Christ following wife. I'm a Christ following niece. I'm a Christ following, welder.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's hard for me. I'm not going to sit here and speak with such great wisdom as if I've conquered this either. Because sometimes when I go home, my kids get a sermon. And that's not fair. When I go home, it's time to be dad. It's time to be husband. It's time to be Adam, the Christ follower. That's what it is. When I am at church, when I am with people, then you have to obviously not put on a different hat, but it's a different environment. And sometimes I mix those up. I can get confused with that.
Do you think that laity sometimes feel that you have to be a pastor 24/7?
Yes. Yeah.
That so one of the things side I guess rabbit trail here is, I mean, do you think Jesus ever said pull my finger? I mean, they're sitting there. I mean, they had to take shower. They had to take baths, so they're all probably similar bathing around times. Somebody farts in the thing. I mean,
we're losing viewers.
Yeah, probably are. But did Jesus feel like? I mean, do you think he felt like he had to be the Son of God 24/7? Do you think he ever just wanted to?
Yeah, but
tell a joke.
I think we're thinking of it wrong because if we're thinking of being a true, honest Christian, we're not perfect all the time. We're not doing sermons all the time. We're loving God all the time.
Do we expect pastors to be perfect all the time?
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of people who do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I am not perfect. Far from it.
Yeah.
Far from it. But there is a pedestal that pastors are put.
Don't have to quite agree so heartily.
Yeah. Woohoo! Danica, come on.
No.
Yeah. Well, her office is right down the hall from mine, so she can understand plenty. Jen Baum just put down there, pull my finger.
Forehead slap. So the laity myth is, I would say it's a little bit of both.
Right.
So, yes, I could see where some pastors have this idea of what pastoralship should be.
Yes.
And I wonder if it changes the older you get too. The more
I don't
refined,
know
the more refined as you get.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, we've had great pastors at Decatur First Church of the Nazarene.
Yes.
I have thought back, and I have been blessed with the pastors that I have, including you.
Thank you.
Because I look at Facebook and I see people, this viewpoint is this way and this viewpoint is this way, and I think back, I don't ever remember a pastor preaching that or teaching that or the leaders in this church, that women are less important than men, that we shouldn't treat all people equal or with respect, and I just don't see that happen. But at the same time, that laity also say, well, pastors need to be perfect, and we don't.
Yeah. The screen is frozen up here, Bart. I'm not sure what that means, but
No.
I don't know what that means.
I was looking at Danica's face like, what?
What?
Let's see. We are still frozen.
Say, it looks like Adam and I are frozen and you are not.
Yeah.
It does look like you guys are frozen. I'm still moving.
Okay.
People, are we still on with you all out there? I don't know what that means. Well, this is the first for us. Yeah, you guys are frozen. What does that mean?
But the audio's still going, huh?
Sure.
is.
Let's assume that it is.
All right. All right. Well, then we can bring this to a close if.
Oh, no. Dina Huddleston said she talks too much because she froze the screen. So I don't think it was you.
Oh no,
Oh.
it wasn't her. No, it's not Danae. No, we're cool. Hey,
Yeah.
we'll bring this to an end tonight since we're having some technical difficulties. It's totally fine. That stuff happens. We will not be here next Wednesday night. Be sure you are with your family and staying safe for the Thanksgiving holiday. We'll be back in 2 weeks, and we'll have some more topics just like this for you to interact with. And so, thanks for joining us tonight. Thank you, Danica.
Yeah, thank you. It's wonderful. Thanks, Bart.
Thank you for allowing me to be here. This is the first for me. I do not understand why that camera's frozen.
Look at
Yeah.
Danica. All right.
Looks like I'm looking.
She is. That's a
Ooh.
meme. All right, folks. What you got to do is take the screenshot while you're out there and meme it. Meme it. Meme it.
Caption that. Hey, it's D1 Midweek. Adam, Danica, Bart. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye. Oh, my word.
Oh, they talked the whole time.
Dude, we